Welcome to part 2 of scrapping the 90s. What do we have here? Another stereo cassette CD player, two VCRs, a old DVD player. DVD players came out in the 90s. 96 I think it was in Japan, 97 in the USA, 98 in Europe and 99 in Australia, I think I remember. So still counts as the 90s. An old phone and one of these really annoying alarm clocks that I don't think works anymore. Let's start with something small. Now with better lighting. Alrighty then. Let's see what's in here. Still has the store thingy on there. Alarm thingy. It's one of those magnetic strips, I think. Nothing under these rubber feet. Nope. Plastic. Any more screws? Nope. Don't think there's any batteries in here. Nope. And this is the speaker. And then more plastic. Away. No, there's not much in here. Didn't figure there would be. There. Like I said before, these things might be handy for projects. If you need a 9-volt battery attachment, these things are handy to keep. I got a couple of these now, so I don't really need this. So we'll go in with the wires. Let's see. Well, there's not much on this board. There's an IC chip and some resistors and diodes. I'm pretty sure there's not that much in the screen that's interesting. There might be some LEDs under there, but I'm just gonna toss this in with the low-grade boards, same as this board. Has a couple of those clicky buttons and not much more. The IC chip is the whole base of the alarm clock, and the rest is just to make the whole lot function, and that's about it. So let's see, then there's this thing, main power cord, That's the most interesting part of this whole thing, I think. There. Now these plugs I've been throwing away earlier in my scrapping endeavors, but now I keep them because the pins are brass and you can get these out in quite an easy way. Just snip a bit here and there and then pull them out, and then you can collect quite some brass. So let me pile this up. So that's it. Tiny bundle of wire, some low grade circuit boards, plug with brass pins, a small copper bearing motor. You can take this apart and see if you can get the copper out, but with these huge steel frames around them, this could be quite difficult. This is a small one, so shouldn't be that hard, but if you get bigger ones, it all depends what is your time worth taking the thing apart in detail and getting the copper, or just turning them in for copper bearing motors, depending on what you'll get for them. The main power cord is still the most interesting part here. So the cables basically. Got the speaker and a couple of screws. I threw the rest in my screw pot already, so that's not interesting. And like with most electronics, a lot of plastic. So that was this alarm clock. That won't be bothering me early in the morning anymore. On to the next thing. Old telephone next. This is probably for someone who's not that well sighted, because these things are huge. Now if you're creative, you might be able to take these numbers out, these buttons, and use them for some arts and crafts. I'm not going to. I know some people who like to use these for when they make like custom clocks or whatever. But I'm just gonna see what's in there to scrap. So let's get this thing discombobulated. These are like phone jacks. There you go. And these pins in here, focus, these are gold plated. So for gold recovery, it might be interesting to keep these, but you're gonna need buckets and buckets full of them until that amounts to something. This is probably the most interesting part, the cable. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, batteries. Oh, these are rechargeable. Interesting. Oh, many screws in here. I wonder if they could have put more screws in there, because this was clearly not enough. Jeez. All right. Another one of those annoying speakers. I wonder if I can get those out. It's weird because there's this speaker and there's that speaker. This is probably for the ringtone and this is for the dial tone or something, I don't know. I don't remember how those things work. Does anyone? Yeah, I'll not be able to push through there. That does look kind of brassy, even though it's really light. It's not magnetic, so this might actually be brass with some layer of crap on it. Probably toss that in with the dirty brass for like what, the half a gram that this is. See, these bits are iron. All the way over there, right. And plastic. Wow, piece of iron in there for weight probably. Those are tiny. This is quite heavy. This might actually be lead. Nope, it's definitely not lead. Lead is not magnetic. Oh, a bit of heavy steel. More plastic. Right, let me pile this lot up and show you what I got. So this is what I got out. A big pile of plastics, and like I said, you might be able to use these for some creative projects. I know MoHomesteading told me when I showed her this phone that she would turn stuff like this into a clock. She's quite a creative person and has some interesting stuff on her channel. I'll link it in the description. But other than that, for me this is just plastic. If you're creative in reusing stuff like that, you might find some use for it. There's some cable in there. Don't mind the Twinkies here. Those are for a different project. There's a couple of red LEDs, and there was one of these blue M&M things. I always call them blue M&Ms because that's what Ewaste Mike and Rafal Scrapper call them. And they apparently have silver in there. They were on the circuit board here somewhere. This is all low grade. This is basically no grade. There's not much on there other than some, I'm not even sure if it's silver flashing. Probably not interesting at all. Not much of interest on the green one either here. Got some, the old speaker is basically scrap iron. Got some iron bits and this weight plate that was in the horn. The speaker from the horn and the microphone from the horn. This actually is a aluminium casing that you might be able to get off, but I don't think that's worth it. Now these connection blocks, they have the pins in there. Those are gold plated, so might be interesting if you get a lot of those for gold recovery. LCD, this one might have like rhodium or indium in it, and that goes on the floor. I've heard from Moose Scrapper. Like I said, this is probably brass, but it's very light, so doesn't amount to much. Some screws, and this actually came with some rechargeable batteries. I will be trying to see if I can recharge those. Again, a couple of connectors with gold-plated pins, and that was it. The red LEDs might have or have golden bonding wires in there, so those can be processed as well for gold recovery. But that was it for a old 90s phone. So let me clean this up and go to the next item. Next item, DVD player. Xeron. That was the same brand the alarm clock was from, I think. That's El Cheapo brand. Let's see, I've got some standard screws here. Look at that, there's hardly anything in there. This is actually a slightly more recent DVD player, I'm assuming, because I'm sure that HDMI didn't come out in the 90s. So yeah. But we're scrapping it anyway. Steel plating. Away. Same deal here. Brass pins. Copper spool in there. Might get that off later. There's copper in there. And there's one of those blue M&M thingies. Other than that, not that interesting. How did I miss this one? Oh wait, they're under the metallic part. Under the steel plating. Not much interesting on here other than these tactile switches which might have silver contacts in them. Not sure this is lead, might be. There might be golden bonding wires in there. One IC chip might have golden bonding wires in there, but other than that, again, not that interesting. Right, this is probably the logic board. Most of the interesting stuff is on here. I think this might be a memory chip, flat pack, another IC chip, and a crystal in there. It's not a crystal oscillator, but a normal crystal. These oval things are usually not oscillators. Oh, and a retractable extractable chippy. If you have a specific type of pliers, you can take these out. These are usually reprogrammable, so probably like a BIOS chip on a PC that can be replaced. It's kind of like that, like a version upgrade of software on them or whatever. Yeah, but again, not that interesting for me. hardly any of the electronics are interesting for me unless there's like big aluminium or copper heat sinks in there, or big spools. So let's get this DVD part out. Now this is your standard CD-ROM drive, DVD drive, optical drive for to cover all of them. A couple of motors in there that are copper bearing. Inside here might be some golden bits, a couple of tiny circuit boards, and sometimes these pins here, these sliders, are made of brass, but I'm pretty sure in this case they're not. I'm gonna take this apart in more detail off camera, and then pile the whole lot up and show you what I got. And this is everything that came out. Small bundle of cables, power cable again being the most interesting part, the plug that has the brass pinch, which I will take out later. There were a couple of magnets in there, two neodymium ones and one the round one. The neodymium ones are really interesting because they're very strong. A couple of copper bearing motors, which I will not take apart because that's way too tedious. There's one motor in here that, or spool, that is actually easy. Just get a small screwdriver in there and unroll the thing. This was the copper spool that was around the lens part, which I took out. I got a couple of these now. And whenever I'm going to be making small figurines with bulgy eyes, I'm going to be using those. So, because I'm going to be doing some steady crafting, like the craftsman at some point. Put a link to him in the description. Got a bundle of steel plates and steel bits. The rods were indeed steel and not brass. A couple of screws. Hell of a lot of plastic. And some circuit boards with not too much interesting on there. I see there's, like I said, one crystal on there, which I will probably pop off. And the rest I'm not going to be bothering with that much. So a fuse in here, which I have a whole pile of right now, so I'm not going to be bothering with that. Back in there. The rest is just for the circuit board pile. So that was a slightly more recent DVD player than I thought. I thought it was a really old one, but I found a label inside that said 2010. So not really the 90s, but then again DVDs were around in the 90s. But they were probably 4 times bigger than this, and there was a hell of a lot more of circuitry in there. The older the electronics, usually the more interesting the stuff is that you can get out, because there's a hell of a lot of more copper and brass, and well, brass not so much, copper, aluminium for heat sinks, and a hell of a lot of more gold-plated stuff, usually. So, I'm gonna clean this up, and we're gonna go to the next item. Right, let's get the last few items of this scrapping the 90s done. I got 2 VCRs left. This thing I found while dumpster diving, and this I got from some friends. This is an old digital alarm clock. I think this actually might be from the 80s, I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna scrap it out anyway. It's quite heavy, it's probably all stainless steel. And let's see what's in all these things. Let's start with a VCR. Steel plate. Oh wow, smokers. More steel. Take this apart in detail later. Lots of ribbon cables. That one looks interesting. The main transformer. It's kind of like a power supply, like in a PC. Take this apart in detail later. This is all just plastic. This is an interesting board. These tactile switches, they usually have silver contacts in them. And I have a hell of a lot of these. Not just on this board, but on many boards. And a plastic frame. Some small steel bits here. Get those off somehow. Many screws. Lots of mechanical parts and small circuit boards on these things. Oop. No. Gonna go over this in detail later. I'm gonna try and get all this stuff off of the cast aluminium part and then show you what I got. And get all the other pieces disassembled and show you what came out of this VCR. And then I'll start on the next one, and that will probably be the same, pretty much the same deal. Okay, so I micro scrapped the hell out of this thing. Many circuit boards. I even got the display out of there. This is not even a LCD display because I don't think they were around back then, or you very seldom saw them. It's like a digital display. Not sure if there's anything interesting in there. The power board. Oh, and one fell on the floor. There we go. It's a small board with a casing around it. The power board must have probably some copper in here. There's a couple of MOSFETs which I will take off. These are pretty easy to get the copper out of, so I will take those off. Those M&M like things, the disc capacitors might have silver in them. I will take those and stack them up. I will carefully take off all the tactile switches. The IC chips might have gold in them, so might be interesting. Got all kinds of little bits of board here, more IC chips on here. I got a crystal here, and I think I saw more of those. There's one here, and this is also a crystal oscillator, I think. And got another crystal there. Couple of low-grade boards because there's not that much on them, so I can basically take off whatever I want and it will still be low-grade. This I have not seen before, an IC chip with like a metal cap on it. I'm gonna have to look up what that is, but I will take that off and drop that in with my IC chips. This looks kind of cool, this pattern. This is probably part of the main rotor head thingy to play the tapes. And these are exactly the same shape as the backs of the hard drive readers, but those only have one. So I left them on here just for now, but I will probably take them off. These are all nice copper. Couple of big magnets in there, some copper wire, and some brass bits. This is a spool that's still rolled up. More copper to unravel there. And I think this is phosphor bronze, these things. I broke one, but the other one is still in one piece. And they are usually in pieces that do like a lot of RPM and stuff. So they were in on the axles of these things on the bars. There's also a big nice piece of brass in there, and these things are aluminium, so I'm gonna have to see if I can get that out, probably whack it with a hammer. Now the main plate in there, this is a big cast aluminium piece, but it has some steel rods in there still. I will just try to break this thing into smaller pieces and melt the whole lot, and then the steel bits will be easy to take out. Some smaller cast aluminium bits, a big pile of plastic, quite some steel stuff, all kinds of little pieces and plating and whatnot, and a small bundle of ribbon cable and a couple of normal wires. I can just dump those in with my cables because my scrapyard doesn't make much difference in cables. There's no grades. So yeah, that was what was in this VCR. I'm gonna start on the next one and take that apart in a similar fashion and show you what came out of that one at the end. But I'm probably not gonna be doing it this extensively because this took me close to an hour. And after that, onto this piece, and then the alarm I'll do at the end. Next VCR. Probably gonna be the same deal for the most part. Here we go. This does look similar. Cast aluminium insides. This one seems cleaner though. Looking at this thing, I think this is exactly the same as the previous one. So I'm just gonna take this thing apart and then show you what I got at the end, and not bother you with another video of the same item. I'll be back when this is all scrapped out. Someone is outside the door. Who is that? Who is that? Get back in there! Get back out! You're not supposed to be in here. There's all kind of stuff in here that can hurt your paws. Come. There we go. Whoopa. There we go. Whoopa. Come, back inside. Kom, terug naar binnen. Kom. There we go. Back to work. So yeah, these two VCRs were exactly the same. I didn't notice because this little panel was missing on the other one. And as you can see, completely the same. The insides were exactly the same, all the plastics that came out were the same. Same circuit boards. I'm going to take these apart in more detail, like take off all the crystals and all the tactile switches and whatnot when I'm gonna go through all my circuit boards. Same ribbon cables, same steel stuff. For me this is the most interesting part, the cast aluminium, and this thing, I'll have to take this apart in detail because this has a nice chunk of brass on there. Some more cast aluminium stuff. Copper, more copper, little bit of brass, and these big magnet things. And again, I think, like I said, I think this is phosphor bronze. This I have to unwind. So yeah, VCRs not really worth the scrap unless you're really eager for cast aluminium, which is quite a nice piece, but still doesn't weigh that much. And it has all these steel bits in there, so if you're gonna turn that in for money, then you're probably gonna have to get all the steel bits out. This I kind of like, and now I have two of these. I already put all this stuff from the other one away, but I might look up the other one. I know MoHomesteading, Tanya would probably like this stuff because she's into arts and crafts and whatnot, and well, you can probably make all kinds of fun little items. It's kind of like a flower. I don't know. Maybe I'll send it to her. Yeah, I'm gonna go and clean up and get this thing to scrap out, and we're almost through this thing. So give me a minute, and then we're gonna take that one apart. Last one of the three. I expect this to be mostly the same as the other ones. I think it's a different brand and a different size, so we'll see what comes out. Looks like a lot less in this one than in the others. Yeah, finally. Cable, cable, cable. More steel. Yeah. Keep this in one piece. Ah. That's a thick piece of aluminium. This part is steel though. Nice bit of sheet aluminium. This is the interesting part. Here's copper around it. This has some tin on it, which I will also save for when making bronze. That's basically tin and copper combined. So I keep the little tin covered copper pieces, so I can just throw those in there. And then there's one of the blue M&Ms. I'll take this apart in detail later. And the main circuit board. A couple of spools, some more of those blue M&Ms, a couple of IC chips. This might be a small aluminium heatsink. And this is probably cast aluminium, this casing. Take that off. Another aluminium heatsink here. A couple of MOSFETs, which I will take off. Right. Put that aside for later. CD drive unit. Take it apart later. Cassette deck. I see a nice piece of brass there. But other than that, this is just all scrap steel. Couple of wires. This is a copper bearing motor, and these circuit boards probably don't have much on them. There is, however, a couple of relay-like items here. They might have silver contacts in them, and the plates are copper. So I'm gonna try to get those out. Do that later. So we're almost through this thing. There. Ribbon cables. One of those LCD things that makes a kind of like a chiming sound. And a lot of those tactile switches, which will have silver contacts in them usually. A couple of LEDs. The wires off. Weird noise. Right. Other than all the screws, there's a lot of plastic. Button, button, button. Let me pile the whole lot up and show you what the results are of this tower. So indeed, pretty much the same deal here. Stack of iron or steel, and the cassette deck I'm not going to be taking apart, all the little plastic bits. And some plastic stuff that's left. I did, however, take the copper bearing motors, the small motors, out of everything, and I was able to get that little piece of brass out of there. I micro scrapped even the laser unit. It has golden pins, and I think the ring on there might be gold plated. Well, hope it's solid gold, but probably not. Might be gold plated. But this is the laser unit. Look, MoHomesteading, lasers, pew pew. Right, so I got all the copper little parts out. I got the laser lens and got the refractory, or no, reflection thingy, little square glass plate. I'm gonna keep those for, I don't know, little crafting projects. Some coils I got off the board. I got this copper plate from this thing. Like I said, I got the tin part here that I will be melting when doing trying to make bronze. There was a couple of magnets in there. The neodymium ones came from the laser unit. This was wrapped around it. And I got a couple of MOSFETs from the main board. Got one crystal, got a couple of small LEDs, a couple of pink ones even. Don't know what color they light up as. Probably pink. A couple of those M&Ms, one blue one and a couple of orange ones. These parts were indeed cast either alloy or aluminium. Might be a type of Zamac, like zinc aluminium alloy. A couple of nice big aluminium heat sinks. Well, small one and a big one. And oh, this is actually sheet aluminium and not extruded. So, bundle of wires. Again, weight-wise, the main power cable is still the most interesting. Got the plug off. I will get the pins out for the brass. What else? Yeah, main board and the smaller boards that were in there, and the display, and of course a fuse. Wonder what's in here. Can I take this off? Don't think I've ever taken one of these apart. Oh, look at, oh wow! Small coil in there. I'll take that off later. So this can go with the plastic. There we go. So there you have it. Same deal, same. So basically for these stereo sets, it's not really worth micro scrapping out unless you have nothing else to do like me and make videos about it. But the main thing is the big aluminium, the main transformer, and the power cable, like with most devices. The boards are not that interesting, and what's on those boards also is not that much, as you can see. So it's all a matter of what's your time worth, and I know I will not be scrapping out any more of these, at least not on camera. I'll probably just take the aluminium heat sinks, the main transformer and the power cable, and I'll leave it at that. So let's clean this lot up and get to the last piece of this scrapping the 90s project. This alarm clock is, I believe, maybe from the 80s even, so that might compensate a bit for the DVD player, which was slightly more recent than expected. Well, compensate, not really, but I'm gonna clean up and let's get this thing disassembled. Last item of this video. An 80s alarm clock. Or at least I think it's the 80s, because that was what I was told. Now this is so old, it has... Does it show on camera? This is so old, it has flathead screws. So yeah. Guess this is all stainless. From an age before they used aluminium for everything. Ooh. Wow, I think the manual's in here. Or some kind of reference card. It's all in French. Whatever. This looks brass. Oh, what do you know? Brass screws. Oh, the transformer is neatly tucked away in here. Oh, that was on there good. Not. I'll look at this part later. I think it's stainless. It's vaguely magnetic. Yeah. Or it's completely like brass, because this has some yellowish tinge to it, but that could be from the screws. I'll file away at it later. Let's see here. Ah, there we go. Wow. Look at this thing. Rafal Scrapper will probably like these. Completely gold plated pins and a golden chip. These are quite rare to find. I think this is even, yes, you could, awesome. So yeah, didn't expect something as good as this to be in there. That's nice. My very first golden legs EEPROM chip. A white EEPROM with golden legs. I'm gonna keep this just for the hell of it. This is just stainless steel. Quite thick even. These might be brass. I'm gonna try to get those off. Yep, not magnetic and yellow in color, so probably brass. The other one. There's a piece of felt on the bottom. Let's see if I can get this off. It's like a sticker. And these are just normal screws. Put those in the screw pot. Well, stainless steel, stainless steel. Oh, I guess the neighbors are starting some form of construction. Anywho, this is plastic. See if I can file away at this stuff to see if it's actually brass. This is, I think this is plastic. Let's see what this is here. More sticker. All of these have gold plated legs. And even the, hope I can get the angle and the lighting right. Here you can see they have gold plated legs. This is some good electronics. It's the first old stuff that actually has some sort of value in it. You can tell this is a hand-drawn circuit board because of all the curves. If it's done by a computer or a machine, then it's all like angled and stuff. I think this looks nicer sometimes. It kind of has a tribal look to it. Let's get these little wires off. There. So I'm not gonna get anything off this board other than the chip I got off. I'm just gonna put this in the pile of my boards that need to be processed for before they go to the scrapyard. So I am going to try to get all these gold plated pins out of there, but that's for off camera because that's kind of boring. Cardboard or whatever. And that's just where there's some copper in there. It's quite tedious to get it out. I'll drop this in with my copper bearing motors These have been welded on there. But it does look brass. How do you weld brass? The inside does look like brass, kinda. I have to get a file to see if it's actual brass. Main power cable. Really old looking plug. Pins are actually not plated, they are just brass, I guess. I'll be danged. The whole thing is brass. Filed at the back plate. And this part, hope it shows up on camera, it's all brass. Joy! So, let me show you what I got out of this. So yeah, good old electronics have good old stuff in them. Got some plastic and cardboard and trash. Nice old circuit board that has some golden pins on it. And a transformer that I can take apart. I got the main power cord and a couple of internal wires. Most of the screws and bits were brass. Power plug pins are brass. And apparently the whole casing is some type of chrome plated or nickel plated. I think chrome. All brass. So I'll be melting that in a future video. And the grand prize of this scrapping marathon, 90s scrap. I'm gonna clean this thing up a bit. Nice golden pins. When I get a couple of these, I should frame them. Turn them into a work of art, maybe. So, my very first golden chip in an alarm clock of all places. So, I hope you've enjoyed me scrapping out all this 90s, 80s and some more recent stuff. But most of the stuff came from like the 90s. Hope you've enjoyed me scrapping out all this old electronics, and I hope that you've now learned, if you didn't know already, what is worth and what isn't worth scrapping out. So, hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you the next time I have something interesting to scrap out. See you on the next one.